pays to watch more.
Time for your well-earned cup of decaf cough, Martin. Hope it keeps the grey matter ticking over, because I've got the audience questions here. And I warn you, some of them are tough, really tough.
Yeah, I'm quaking in my boots. I've not got one wrong yet. Bring them on! I'm going to regret that so badly, aren't I, really?
I'm going to bring it on. Before you catch up with Jeff Capes, though, this week's studio volunteers have a couple more questions for you. You're gonna have a
Where are they? They're over there.
Yeah.
Eddie, Sheen and Nick. Now, you two were talking about paying off your mortgage. Were you surprised with my answer that don't pay it off?
Yes.
You thought I was going to say pay it off? Do you understand the logic, though? The truth is, if we take your situation right now, which is you're earning 2%... Now, just a second. Whose fault is that between the two of you?
Probably both, actually.
Why did you put your hand up? Who opened that account?
We both did. We both went down.
Yeah. Why? Why did
and
you choose that
they clearly
one?
sold us a load of rubbish.
Well, they did. I mean, the fact is, it's an incredibly competitive market out there. Savings is a commodity market. The one that gives you the highest interest rate, especially it's clean the best. It's a pitiful, disgustingly low rate. Honestly. I mean, I'm just... is what I absolutely feel like it, yeah. So the truth is with you, if you'd had £20,000 in savings, luckily, it would have been nice, then what I would have done is said, set up the cash ISAs and then pay off the mortgage with the rest of it, because that would have worked for you. Yeah. But in your case, you just need to be using your cash ISA allowance. If you do get more savings, though, then put them into paying off the mortgage. Do you follow why?
Well, we've been talking about the ISAs. The only issue I don't understand is, if we have ISAs, how many are we allowed to have? And
you're allowed one a year. You're allowed one a year. Right, so that's £3,000 this year. Yeah. £3,000 this year, which is how much?
6.
It's not a trick question, don't worry, I only do those to Ruth. Right, now, but the thing is, the tax year ends on the 5th of April. So next year is actually the 6th of April. Right? That's why I said it this way. So the 6th of April, not very far away, and you can put 3,600 in each next year, because the rates have gone up, basically. You're now allowed to put more in. So that's another £7,200. So that's 6,000 if you open one right now, and another 7,200 next year, which covers you 10 grand. That's why I can understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Now, I'm going to move over to Nick, who was our student loan. Were you with me?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but part of me thinks maybe it's bad debt just sitting there. It's money I wasted a long time ago.
But you've got mortgage debt.
Yeah.
You've got mortgage debt, and that's more expensive. And there's absolutely never a question. If you've got debts, you put them in a line, and the one that's the most expensive is the one that you put all your cash to paying off. You pay as little as it's allowed, so on a credit card minimum repayments, on a student loan, whatever you have to pay on everything else, and whatever's at the top of that pile in terms of the highest interest rate, can it? So are you allowed to overpay on your mortgage, do you know?
No.
Not even a little bit?
Not at the moment, not for 2 years.
You're not even allowed capital lump sum overpayments?
I think there's a fee.
I think there's a fee. OK. Well, if there's a fee, in that case, what I suggest you do, you're going to say, why don't I just pay off the student loan now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Put them... Have you got a cash ISA?
No.
All right. Put them in a cash ISA. That's earning you 6.5%, no tax. The student loan is costing you 4.8%. Right. So by not paying it off, you're making money because of the difference. And then once that mortgage ends, shove that money at paying off the mortgage if you really want to get rid of your debts, although actually you'd still make money by keeping it, but that's a bit technical. Am I selling it? Am I winning?
You are.
OK. I mean, that's a sensible way to go forward. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that we get more time to actually go through it here than in the show, which we're always very tight for time. I hope that works with you.
No, I'll give it a go.
Brilliant. Then I'm winning. I'm winning. Ruth, it's back to you.
Full details on all of that on the website that you must already be on, because you're watching that. So just in case, 5.tv/page to watch. I think the info must be up there. No, hang on. I think it's over there. Anyway, Martin, go and talk to Jeff. He's a big man. Don't keep him waiting.
Now, the thing a lot of people don't know about you is what you mainly tend to do now. I know you're coaching some athletes, aren't you?
Yes.
And are they shot putters mainly?
All shot putters, all based at Loughborough University. They're all part of the national squad.
Do we have any 2012 favourites in there?
There's some good youngsters coming through, some real good kids, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7".
Wow.
16, 17-year-olds.
Wow.
There might be one or two for Beijing as well, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be useful.
So, yeah, really enjoying it.
But your other hobby, they're not that big. You're going to love this, folks.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Come on, you tell me. Well, I'm not going to say a certain word. Right, you keep, and I'm going to get this right, budgerigars.
Thank you very much for the...
So how are the budgies?
Oh, no, come on. Budgies are called Billy and Joey, you know, and Mum and Dad or Grandad has them, you know. But budgerigars, they're show type, you know. They're much bigger than the ordinary budgerigars, and bred all colours as well.
This is your real pastime now, isn't it?
Very much a passion. I started over 36 years ago. And this year, I'm actually president of the Budgerigar Society.
Oh, you see, because I read in your briefing, when I do the interviews, I get briefings, and I read that Aren't you head of discipline for the Budgerigard panel?
Well, I used to be a policeman, of course,
Yeah.
and I'm actually a magistrate as well, so I'm on the discipline panel, yes.
Can you imagine, you've got a problem with... I'm just looking at the audience over there. You've got a problem with your budgie, or your budgerigar.
Yeah.
You've got a problem with your budgerigard, and they send you in, and they're going to say, yeah, we've got someone who's going to sort it out for you, and then this man is sitting there. It'd be brilliant.
Put it right.
Yeah, it'd go pretty well. Now, back to the money for a second.
Yes.
How did you find what I was saying?
Well, obviously, I was very interested, but we didn't get all the way through it and all my problems. But it's certainly a good start, you know, and I'm sure there's a few more kind of things in that kind of pile, if you like, that I'm doing wrong.
Well, there are, but I tell you what, the interesting thing is when I'm doing this, I tend to look at the glint in people's eyes.
Yeah.
And I didn't get from you a sort of firm, yeah, I'm going to act on this type look. I got more of a, that's interesting, but that sounds a bit difficult.
Yeah, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's an ageism thing. You know, obviously you said I'm getting on a bit, but...
No, you said that.
No, I know,
said you were 59.
I think it's change. I mean, not everybody is computer literate. Not everybody really understands change, and they don't want... You know, the kind of, they're worried, if you like, about change. And I think I fit in that package as well. Because I've been...
Do you use the internet?
I do use the internet, but just a beginner. And that's half the problem as well. Not everybody's on it. Certainly not the elderly, that obviously have a lot, you know, a fair amount of capital put away and that are loath to change. It's the change element and going down there and sorting it out and probably confronting the situation at the bank or your broker or whatever, or whoever you use.
Well, there's almost an authority issue going on here, and this is one of the things I perhaps in my career have been quite constructive with, is saying to people, just because your bank says one thing doesn't mean it's true, and you can fight them and take them on.
Yeah.
But you seem to be someone who, the bank says it, and that's almost...
Yeah, well, I've got a mate who's been helping me with my not only investment, pensions and stuff like that, but he's also been a very close friend for many, many years, and I hope that he's led me down the proper path, you know.
It is, but you see, for me, that's only half your money.
Yes, I know.
You know, all the things we're talking about don't come into that. Your telephone
the basics, they're the basics that you're talking about, you know.
And it's no one teaches you those. So if I send you an email with all these details in properly, are you going to do it?
Well, my partner said to me before I left, make sure that he saves you as much money as he possibly can, and then we will, not if, maybe, will implement it.
All right, I tell you what, I reckon just by the cursory look, and I was thinking, I think we're easily over £2,000. Easily over £2,000, possibly 2.5 when I actually go through some of the details about phone bills. I'm going to send you a detailed email, and hopefully...
Yeah, I hope you don't really shock me, you know, say...
No, I mean, I think the big thing is you've got all that money sitting in a not brilliant savings account, and you've got a mortgage. You could clear that.
Well, straight away, you're saving me half of my yearly mortgage. Yeah. In the real sense of the word. I mean, the truth is, technically, the best thing to do is go into the best high-interest savings account you can. Yeah. But my suspicion is, for you, the easiest and simplest thing, so you don't have to keep monitoring savings account, will just be take that money that's not earning you that much in the savings account, clear your mortgage, be mortgage-free. Yeah. And that would be a pretty good way to deal with the debt. Jeff Capes, everyone. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Time for Martin's favourite bit of the week, the audience questions, and there are some tough ones this week. Martin, be warned. First question, where's Matt? Hello, love. What would you like to ask him?
Yeah, Martin, I've got a mortgage already with Nationwide, and I moved into a new house last year, and I needed an increased amount, so I was basically running a second mortgage or two parallel, and Nationwide have kindly charged me £399 arrangement fee. But I'm existingly with them, and I also have ISA and so on with them. So there's a justification for that amount that I've paid, and do I have a case for a refund?
There's no refunds out there on arrangement fees. Unfortunately, you know, it's always interesting. Nationwide's a building society and says we're a non-profit organisation that, although actually it does announce profits each year, and it's always quite complex. I actually consider most building societies and banks to be identical in terms of how we need to react as a consumer. If they're giving me good rates and good products, I'll go with them. If they're not, I won't, regardless of their mutual status. But some would disagree with that. The honest truth is no. I mean, you agreed to that. There has been nothing on arrangement fees because it's up front. They said, this is a product, this is the price, and you went for it. It's not a penalty. It's not something that you're a contract that you're in and they give you an unfair charge. You signed up for the deal. It was that right there at the beginning. So, sadly, not is the answer. When do those two mortgages come out of their fixed or discount term?
Well, one's coming out of its fixed term later this year, and then the other one just continues over for another, 18 years. So,
Right, so that's just on a tracker rate or a standard variable rate?
Standard variable.
How much is on the standard variable rate?
Honestly, can't remember offhand, but...
And is that the first one, the standard variable rate?
The first one is a fixed rate. I've sort of been juggling mortgages over the years, so I could come back to them.
Well, yeah, I think anything that... If you're paying the standard variable rate, even on Nationwide, which isn't that bad for standard variable rate, anyone out there paying standard variable rate, you need to look at that because you can save money on it.
Right.
You should be able to cut some. But the problem is you've got these two running in parallel but not ending at the same time. So you're probably always going to be juggling two at once.
Right.
But, if you're juggling two at once and that keeps the cost down because one's cheaper, go with the cheaper thing. Yeah. People always talk about they always like all their eggs in one basket. Consolidation means nothing. Cheaper interest rates, that's what you want.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Happy? Yeah. What makes sense?
Well, not that happy, obviously, but...
We can't do miracles. This is the thing. Often there are lots of questions where the answer is, I'm sorry, that's how it works. Yeah. We fight them when we can, but here, sorry, you don't have a one, but I would move that as standard variable rate mortgage.
Right. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
I like the way you took the mic, by the way. I thought you were going to start singing.
I was.
That's the Halifax advert, not the Nationwide advert, isn't it?
Where's Keith? I'm coming over. What would you like to ask Martin?
Well, Martin, the UK banks seem to be in turmoil, with Halifax the latest to suffer problems. Should we be worried?
Yeah, first of all, Halifax didn't suffer problems. Halifax suffered nasty, illegal, unlawful rumours, which were not true. There is no problem with Halifax Bank of Scotland out there. These were rumours that were put there in the city. Well, no problem, no more than any other bank, I should say. They were rumours that were put out there in the city for people who already make far too much money to try and make even more money on the back of ordinary savers. Probably give you a little bit of a viewpoint of my opinion on that. Look, should we be worried? The phrase is very simple. I used to say it was unthinkably, unfeasibly, ridiculously unlikely that a bank in Britain would collapse. I now say it's unlikely. And that's quite a substantial difference. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that we should be panicking and withdrawing our money and putting it under the mattress. Because I tell you one thing, far more like... You said this to me last week, that's why you're smiling, isn't it?
I have an uncle that did that.
Let's not give you the dress out on here. Right. And the fact is, you're far more likely that if you do that, your house is going to be burgled and someone's going to come in and nick your cash and you're not earning interest in the meanwhile. But the truth is, there is a chance that some bank could go bust. Do you want to know which one?
Yes, please.
Me too. Right? We don't know. We don't know which one it's going to be. But what I would say is, you're protected up to £35,000 in any savings account under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. That's not per account, that's per institution. The best thing you can possibly do is spread your money around. If you've got lots of cash, don't put more than £35,000 in one institution. The problem is, let's say you were lucky enough and you sold a house for £1 million, right, and then you wanted to spread that around, you're not going to be able to do it and still earn a decent interest rate. So we have to balance the risk of the savings account going down versus earning the right amount of interest. There are maybe 10 good accounts out there with different institutions. If you had £1 million, why not put 100, 150,000 in each one? OK, you've not totally offset any risk, but you've certainly minimised the amount of risk. And it's about being sensible, not panicking, but being aware it's not that nice out there. It isn't that nice out there. Simple as that.
Thank you.
Scary?
Oh, do you feel better or worse after that?
Scared.
Yeah, good.
OK.
Absolutely good. That's the whole point is I do want to scare people into thinking about this right now. This credit crunch is something we have never seen the like of before. We really don't know what's going on. You know, the government bailed out Northern Rock. The Financial Services Compensation Scheme doesn't have enough money to deal with that. What we hope doesn't happen is we have a whole system of banks that would to do, because there isn't enough money in the government's coffers to deal with that. Fingers crossed, though, it's looking a lot better. But the precautions should be there. Everyone, you ask the question, are my savings safe? And you do what you can.
Thank you very much. OK, where's John? There he is. He's ready, aren't you? Come forward. More cheery question, perhaps? No?
Yes, not too bad. On TV, there are lots of these comparison sites advertising cheaper motor insurance.
Yep.
Would you be better advised to go direct to a quality insurance company, cut out the broker, cut out the middleman, and get the best deal?
No.
Why not?
Because what you're effectively doing, what we have to understand is the difference between a broker and a comparison site, which I'd call a screen scraper. Right? That's how I tend to phrase them. What a broker does is, let's do it in terms of bread, OK? Right. So imagine now I want to buy a loaf of bread. The worst way to do it would be to go direct to one baker and say, "Hi, you're the baker. How much is your bread?" Go on, come on.
10p.
OK, got very cheap bread. Go with him. Right. So let's say you go to one broker. All you're going to do is buy his loaf of bread. That's your only choice. If you go to a broker, what happens is it's a bit like a supermarket. The price of... They'll have more than one loaf of bread in there, but the price will depend on that broker's relationship or that supermarket's relationship with its suppliers. You're following me? So you'd have a limited choice, but you would still... It would depend on its relationship. What a screen scraper website does is it takes your quote, it goes to brokers, it goes to direct insurers, it puts in your details, gets the price from the screen, so of all of these different ones, including the brokers, finds you the cheapest price and reports them back to you. It's as simple as that. So what you're doing is you're going to the brokers, you're going to the direct insurers, and it's bringing the price back to you. The problem is, and there's been a war between Direct Line and Money Supermarket and this lot, and they're both a bit right. The problem is the comparison services make some assumptions, so they aren't always accurate. Direct Line refuses to be included in them, and it is particularly competitive. And it's a difficult mix. What I suggest you do is you go to the 3 top in comparison sites, because they all search different ones, which I'd put for car insurance as Money Supermarket, Confused.com, Compare the Market, and I'd add in a 4th, Tesco Compare. You do all of them, and for belt and braces, you go to Direct Line on top. That'll take you 20 minutes, and then you'll have a massive spread of the market. You'll include your direct broker, and you will have the cheapest car insurer from about 60 brokers and 60 direct insurers. So the answer is, you do the work. There is no shortcut, but I'm only talking 20 minutes. Most people who follow my system on that save hundreds. The cheapest we had on the programme, guys, car insurance. Anyone remember? Cheapest car insurance record? £26 a year, third party. There we go. The system, and we can say it now because this isn't going on a Sunday, moneysavingexpert.com/car insurance, and it'll tell you exactly what's there.
Thanks a lot.
There we go.
Happy?
Fantastic.
And Martin, I just want to ask you, how many shops do you go to when you're buying your bread?
How many Have you seen the cost of bread?
I can just imagine. It's a
I'll have a
medium loaf, I'll give you
Ribena.
20p for it. Where's Robert?
Here.
There you are. Hello, mate.
Hello.
How many shops do you go to when you buy your bread?
Just one. It's not very good.
What do you want to ask Martin?
Yeah, it's the end of the tax year coming up. Do you have any tips or things I should be doing?
Yeah. Best way to avoid paying lots of tax is earn less. Now, this is not a message for me. My Uncle Tony, who you never know, might just be watching, always says this to me. Anyone who claims is a tax accountant, anyone who complains about how much tax they're earning should remember you pay more tax the more you earn, so think yourself lucky. We're coming up to the end of the tax year right now. The most important thing anyone can do is make sure you have used your cash ISA allowance. If you miss it, you miss out. You get £3,000 each tax year, though it's going up next year. The 5th of April is the last day. And that's the most important thing anyone could do. There are lots of other allowances out there, you know, into enterprise zones and these type of things. I don't cover them. They're investment-type plans. The most important one for the general public is your cash ISA allowance. Simple as that, really. Have you got a cash ISA?
I do, this year.
You got this year's, and you're opening a new one on the 6th of April. Have you got any more savings?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, good. Well, of course, we'll be telling you right here what the cheapest one is then. But my guess is it'll still be Barclays on the 6th of April, but we'll see.
OK.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Robert. Now, that stretched your financial skills, Martin, but still, no one tripped you up. Note to self, must try harder next week.
Bring it on. We'll be there. Actually, not really. It's more important than that. You know what? When you have a question, what a lot of people don't do is they just simply think of a question and they worry and panic it out there. The answers are always out there if you need to do it yourself. You don't just need to be able to ask me. It's about doing the research, finding a trusted source. You can, of course, use this website on moneysavingexpert.com. You can go in the forum, ask your questions. There is always an answer. The answer might be there's no great solution, but there is always something that'll give you more security. If you'd like to ask us a question, though, it's questions@moneysavingproductions.com. and we'll be able to help you there. You never know, she might just ask me.
Exactly. And don't forget to join us again next week.
We're top of the agenda. It's how to cut the cost of calling from your home phone, whether it's to a landline, a mobile, or even calling abroad. We've got a woman who saved a fortune doing that.
So, to beat that BT line rental rise and find out how ex-EastEnders heartthrob Matt D'Angelo handles his cash, don't miss our main Wednesday show at 7:30 in the evening.